We do video and we do audio. So this goes out on YouTube, and then it goes out separately. We do a podcast, pure audio. And the way we do it is we have a little bit of a pre-show essentially that is YouTube. The whole thing, all of the audio is YouTube, and then we have a wrap up, sort of like a bonus section after the show, after the audio wraps up. That is part of the video thing. And what we do there is we'll ask you to like either provide a like a bonus nugget, that you would just like a recommendation that you have for the audience, or if there's a challenge that you have, like hey, like try this out in the next week and see how it works for That's you, cool. That kind of stuff. So
I just gave these two young entrepreneurs I met at a business lunch thing for the Chamber of Commerce. I just gave them a homework assignment to do, so this will work out well.
Perfect. So see, very, very fortuitous there. We do it when we share it out. It's 2 episodes, so we'll have a part 1 and a part 2. It will run about an hour. The episodes are 25 minutes a piece, something like that. We sort of like edit them to make sure that they fit appropriately, right. Essentially. And the way we do this is we're going to start with we'll start off. I'll start the podcast, the audio part. I'll introduce myself. Michael will introduce himself, and then we'll go to you to introduce yourself, and then we're off and running from there, basically. So we're going to dive right in and see where we go. And it's like we've never had a problem with it. We've always had amazingly. It's amazing how often the introduction itself is just we're off and running on a conversation. We try to keep it nice and organic and go from there. So questions or comments before we dive in?
Everything sounds clear to me.
Excellent day. Audio good, Michael?
Yeah, Jason, you're a little soft.
Okay. Let's see. Go into my volume mixer. Output volume. Is this a lot better, a lot louder? I just brought
it up. Sounds better to me. How about you, Rob?
I had it at 52%.
There you go. That was good.
Now it's 75%.
There you go.
That works. Okay, now I can turn the volume back down a tad.
Well, I had it
when I get past halfway, I know there's an audio problem.
I did 52%, but now it's 75%. So I do a lot of voiceover videos, and it gets too loud if I do that. So
make sure that
screencasts.
All right, here we go. 3, 2. This is season 28, right? This will be new season. All right, we're good. Uno. Well, hello and welcome back. We are Building Better Developers. We are the Developreneur Podcast, and we are into season 28. And we're talking about AI reality. We're talking about how AI shows the cracks. And this episode, we are back with a conversation. More of that in a few moments. First, I should introduce myself. I am Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help your organization figure out where they want to go next. We help you with organization of your organization preparedness to make sure that when you step into that AI project or that digital transformation project, that you're actually doing things right beforehand so you don't get halfway into the project or get to the end of the demo and realize that it falls apart when it hits production. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is, I think I've done this one before. Good thing is that I am in a time-shifted environment right now from where most of my customers live. It makes for awesome mornings. It makes for a great time where I can get up, I can take my time, have a coffee, all that kind of good stuff. I'm in Europe now, so I'm drinking coffee instead of tea all the time, although I do still drink my tea often enough. The bad thing is that also being time shifted, a lot of times I end up very late in the night still doing things. So I have to really adjust my day quite a bit. And it's good in the morning, not so good late at night. However, it is always good to be able to have Michael on the other side. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we fix broken systems and replace guesswork with tested, dependable solutions built around your business. Good thing, bad thing. Kind of mentioned this before. We had a lot of construction going on here at the house. All that's done for a while. Got some nice quotes for some next round of work that thankfully won't take place for at least another 3 to 4 months. So that's kind of the good and the bad. The good is it's calm for now. The bad is I still have more work to do on the house.
But he's not going to be doing it right now because we have a guest, and I'm going to let Jason go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Sherman, founder CEO of Vengo AI Apex Modules. You want me to do a good and bad too?
You can do a good and bad. That's like some people do, some people don't. We don't want to like put you on the hot seat, but
yeah, I mean, well, let's see. I wasn't prepared for that. So good thing, I guess, would be that we're finally getting some really decent corporate contracts. But the bad is that there's a lot of hand holding involved that seems to be more of a pain than it's worth the contract.
those are, gosh, yeah. That's a whole nother episode when you talk about like clients you need to fire or you want to fire and things of that nature.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. Well, as I said, that's a whole other episode. We'll bring you back for that one. Then we'll get you started. We'll get everybody riled up and do a like no holds barred episode. So I think I want to start into because this is one of the things that's like at the top of your list, the top of your focus is using tech-driven solutions for real-world challenges. Because this, I think this is like the topic of the day, basically, because everybody thinks that they've got AI that can do, and it's advertised, it can do everything. But there's the real world. There's the like, it's magical, it does this, and then there's the real world. And I think we'll just like dive into is like, what are your experience and how do you see that, the challenges of that essentially?
Yeah, and you're right. It's all over the internet, and I think that the companies like Anthropic and OpenAI and Perplexity, even and Gemini, Google, they're all paying influencers to tout that their AI is the best, and that I can build an app in 24 hours. And oh my God, I just built this app in 5 minutes, type of thing, and then you try to deploy it, and then the things start to fall apart very quickly at the seams, and I think if you mention the challenge is going from a vibe coded rinky-dink prototype to a professionally deployed, scalable, secure infrastructure, proper APIs being protected, not letting your .env file being exploited, and all sorts of other issues that we're finding even with bigger companies. And that's the challenge, right? It's I guess having the curtain be pulled aside and showing the wizard behind in Wizard of Oz, right? Showing the wizard, the old man, and the old man is the LLM just sitting back there saying like, I built your app, but it's not really that good, so that's really what it is.
And that is like, now this is something like, you probably, since you've been doing this for a while, I'm wondering if you're running into the same things we've seen, is that this is not, I get AI is the latest, we'll call it the villain for this or something like that. But it feels like this is a recurring theme. If you can go back to, the internet or mobile or Internet of Things or cloud or digital transformation or yada, 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 yada.
The automobile, electricity, yeah. We can go back even further.
And so how do you feel like it's gotten any better? Do you feel like you're having conversations with organizations that are doing it better this time? Or is it just like, all right, here we go again?
It's the same thing. It's regurgitated. It's people hesitating. People are afraid. People don't understand what it is or how to use it. People believe, oh, it's just making magical images and spending water. That's not really what's happening here. It's anyone, and I mentioned electricity and automobile because people always skip those. They always say internet, mobile phone, and I think a more drastic and more exploitative version of it is electricity, because it transformed the world to create all these new technologies around the infrastructure. Automobiles put horse and buggies out of business. It also let us travel further. Businesses started to grow. It's just a tool. Those are all tools. Internet's a tool. The phone is a tool. If you look at AI as just another tool on your belt to produce faster results, be more efficient, then you're going to be able to, produce 30 times more results within a 30 times shorter time frame. And what used to take 50 people to do in 2 weeks might take you 1 hour to do by yourself. That's how I look at it. But you can't expect it to do everything. You're still going to need the human in the loop. That's what I'm going to always call it, is you need the human in the loop to control the AI, manage the AI. It can't work without you.
But now that's an interesting one, because I think the human in the loop is actually a lot of times when you get to the demo goes, and I so much in my mind have the idea of the soapbox derbies, where somebody comes up with this car that's just incredible looking, and they get like 2 feet off the start line and it just falls apart. And it feels like there's a lot of those AI demos that are like that, where it's just like it looks incredible, and then as soon as it hits the real world, as soon as somebody tries to register, like everything falls apart. The wheels are just like they're exploding into everywhere. It looks like an Acme thing out of a Roadrunner cartoon or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So from the human point of view, though, it's when it doesn't break, but it does move things forward, is one of the things that we're seeing, and it's an interesting one to sort of see what you've experienced, is where it's not only the system, where the system was actually built correctly. The problem was actually that it assumed that humans weren't in the loop when they are, or that humans could do things as fast as AI can. So if it's like, if you're having to like stamp a check, it's great if you only have like 10 checks coming across your desk. If you've got 100,000 checks, then it's like you can't stamp that fast anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got so many great examples. You say that I'm using the technology, I'm building stuff. I recently built like a passion project that I had in my mind for years. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to build this thing. And all of a sudden now I can build this thing, right? So I did what you would call vibe coded, right? Because usually I'm programming on my own, in a like IDE, like a Visual Studio, just coding on my own. But I'm like, let me try one of these tools, right? So I took a crack at Cursor, and I built this like full-fledged platform with back-end, front-end, APIs, but I did not deploy it on what everyone else uses, which is Vercel and Supabase and like these, existing deployable platforms that make it easier for you to deploy, but then it potentially exposes things and also can run into performance issues. So anyway, I built this platform. It's called Axopods, and it lets you create like your own AI version of yourself that autonomously interacts with other AI of your friends and family or whoever creates them. And you look at the conversations they're having about like Stranger Things or about NASA or about some other cool topic. And you're like, wow, that really does sound like something I would say. But I wanted to do it as an experiment, right? Can I build a scalable platform that can reach 1 million users without breaking down? And the answer is yes, I can do that. Why is that? Because I am a programmer first. I know how to build it. I'm not letting the AI take the reins and build it on its own and then trying to figure out where it went wrong. Why is it falling apart? Why is my .env file on GitHub? Why are all these things? How did my API key leak? Like, no, I know how to control it. And that's the disconnect, I believe, is people think that they can let the AI do all that work and just let it go. You have to be it's like a horse race. There's a jockey on the horse. If you let the horse go on its own, it's going to just take off, like it's not going to stop running.
Yeah, it's funny. You guys, when you're talking about the automobile and the horse and buggy, it made me think of that scene from Iron Man where Tony Stark's dad was trying to do the floating car. Maybe that was Captain America, and it levitates and it falls, it breaks. That's kind of where we're getting right now with some of this code. It's like, here, go build it, and it's like, oh, it looks all pretty, but when you try to run it, it crashes. With this in mind, with kind of this shift to the AI, this vibe coding, almost no code at this point, because people are pretty much asking for something, they get it. We've had this discussion before, but what's your thought on the current direction of software development? Is it going to become more a code versus buy, or buy versus code, because there's going to be so many solutions out there?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you're right. It's definitely coming up a lot more. And everyone's talking about losing their jobs to AI. I mean, it's obvious that there are definitely some industries that are already getting crushed. And we're even outsourcing military at this point with robots, right? But with coding in particular, at least what I'm seeing from my perspective is that there may be a lot of developers being let go because AI is taking over their roles, but I'm seeing a rise in the developers who are managing the AI developers. So it may almost maybe balancing out a little bit, maybe not as much, but it's still kind of creeping up, because you can't just let AI run free. You have to control it in some way. So I think that maybe there's going to be less junior roles, maybe less intermediate roles, and then 100% all senior roles of these. Let's say you had 1,000 developers in your company, and now you just have 100 seniors, and those 100 seniors are managing 900 AI agents. That might be really what is happening already now. I'm seeing it happen. So in my companies, we used to have like 20 developers, now we have like five. You know what I mean? And we're all just managing these different projects, really. And yeah, we're still 50% coding. I call it 50% coding. That's what we're fixing things, we're making things better. We're checking all the code, right? We're not just deploying it. We're not just like merging pull requests. We're like checking them first. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's managing. I think at this point, we're all managers now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because AI kind of helps fill in the gaps that as developers we just don't have time for, like building unit tests, writing functional tests. We are now forced to do those code reviews because it's like,
Yep.
oh, I don't have time here, I'll just give, oh no, I actually now have the time to do it because someone else wrote the code.
Bingo.
So yeah, definitely seeing a shift in priorities. We've had multiple discussions about the whole um, senior roles. We're going to have more seniors, but we're going to have a gap over time of those junior developers because you're not going to have the mid-level developers essentially training those junior level developers. So there will be a bit of a gap there. So taking this kind of to the next level, so now that we have essentially AI getting us to market faster, we can build applications quick. How do you see that? Again, kind of going back to that build versus buy, how do you see monetization happening with software development going forward? Because really, what used to take hours now takes minutes. So you can't really charge an hourly cost anymore. So, how do you see that changing?
It's another good question. You're full of them. And it's something that, again, we, as a startup founder, right, as an entrepreneur first, one of my core, I guess, values is to always be willing to adapt and always be willing to, pivot if I have to, see what's trending or what the next trend might be, and then jumping in front of it so I'm ahead of it. And part of what that is in this new era of AI is more about user experience. It's number one. It's, you can build whatever you want, but if it works better than all the other ones out there, your value is going to skyrocket. That's how Facebook beat MySpace. That's how a lot of other companies beat other companies, is because they were better than the other ones, right? The better mousetrap. So user experience is key right now. It's, our products, for example, that we built for, universities or Fortune 500 or small business owners, they're easy to use. And that's a key right now, is you have to have something that, like the sales forces of the world and all these huge bloated go high levels and all these big companies, they're just bloated with like 500 features, and they're just too hard to learn to use. You got to get a certification to learn how to use them. Ours are so simple, a caveman can do it, right? So that's, kind of like the old commercials. So how do you charge? That was your question, right? I'm just kind of leading up to it and kind of giving you my background behind it. Is we're doing more of a contract to contract basis now. We're looking at companies in terms of like, what are your inefficiencies? What are your bottlenecks? Where are you leaking value? And then we're going to fill those gaps with integrations, automations, AI implementations, anything we can do to solve the problems you're having, and it might take a year versus selling you a SaaS, $99 a month platform thing that you can use on your own. That's, I think, dead at this point. There's so many of those out there, and you got to get 1,000 customers to make any money versus one contract that'll get you that money in one shot. And then you have a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10-year relationship with a company who then needs you forever. And they may refer you to their business partners and their sister and brother companies. And that's kind of where we've shifted to pretty recently.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit. Interestingly enough, so with that shift and with the monetization shifting, how do you see developers or programmers in this age market their skills? You kind of touched on what you're doing, but where do you see that going? Because, if everyone basically has the same hammer or the same mousetrap, because we can easily duplicate everyone's applications, how do you market what you have? How do you stand out in this age of AI?
So I'm going to ask you a similar question. How did Michael Jordan stand out from all the other basketball players before he got chosen for a draft? He excelled on the basketball court. He showed his skills. He was just killing it out there, and people noticed him and gave him a shot. So as a developer, you have to do the same thing, which means building all sorts of different cool platforms that don't have an agenda, don't have a monetization, just to like I just built Axopods on a whim, just because I wanted to. Not because I expected to make any money from it, because I wanted to show people that I can do this and I can do it really well. If you want me to do something like this for you, then you hire me and I'll do it for you, right? And I've done that over and over and over again, 100 times over. And that's how people can stand out. You got to show what you're made of.
So as you were going through this is a new analogy just came to my head. So apologies if it's a little bit off, but it reminded me of the we'll call it the early internet days. Actually, it was more the early public internet. So the days of CompuServe and America Online and all the other ISPs that were out there. And you couldn't check out of a grocery store without there being 15 of the CDs. Floppy disks that were out there. And they were always free that you get them in your mail. God, I can't remember how many, you'd always get one in the mail.
I still have them somewhere.
I think I've got like one holding up a corner of my house or something like that. So it was like, it reminds me of those early days of like where everything's free, and actually even in that, there's so many. It was really like, I guess we'll call it like a golden age maybe of software development, because you had the first applications that were coming out. So you had not only free stuff for your internet, you also had shareware and freeware and things like that. And now it's moved on to the latest version of it in mobile apps and things like that. But is that where? Do you see it going that way, where developers are going to be they're really going to be more in a situation where you're going to have to give away for free something and then impress enough within that free or trial period that then you can go, get that job or get that product or project? Are you seeing that that's sort of where it's going?
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, isn't it always been that way? I mean, all the early video games, we were getting all the early video games on a disc. You would try it. Mm-hmm. It would kind of stop you on level 2, and then you had to pay for the full game, right? You had to like mail a checkout to get the actual game for Doom or whatever it was. So I remember doing that, and it's never stopped. Every single mobile app has always been play it for free, and then you got to buy tokens to keep playing. SaaS platforms, even ours, that before we shifted to enterprise, it was 2-week free trial, so you can get all the sales leads, and then once you see how amazing it is, you pay to use it for a month. And so I think that everything is always going to be a show what it does and then pay for it again. And in our case now, it's more about demos. So we've already proven what we can do. We've already proven that what we build is scalable, never crashes, works amazingly well, solves a problem. That's all done. So now they see that, and now we have to show them, the company, the customer, this is what it does for your company specifically. So now we're building, visual demos that kind of showcase the capabilities within their organization and their infrastructure versus what ours does just in general. And I think that's kind of what people have to start doing now is showing their customers what problems they're solving for them specifically, and not just like the entire market.
And that is where we're going to pause right now. So thank you for hanging out for episode 1, but episode 2 is coming up right after this in a couple days, next time we release this one. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening in. This really is this was a fun conversation, because yes, we did get a little bit off base a little bit, but we also have, I think there's a lot of very important topics that we covered along the way in this one. So yeah, maybe this wasn't the most technical one, but I think this is one that really is perfect for this time, because we're really talking about the reality of AI. We really are talking about that. It's like, what does it look like today? Well, what are our concerns? What is working? What is not working? What appears to be working, and what doesn't? And I think this is going to be very valuable for you moving forward, wherever you are in the process of adopting or utilizing AI. That being said, we're going to wrap this one up and let you get back to telling all your agents what to code. Go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.